Hi and welcome back to the Big Bang Orchestra series, and this series is growing. We started with the Big Bang Orchestra, the free basics available for everyone, the Big Bang Orchestra Andromeda with more essential articulations, Big Bang Orchestra Black Eye with phrases and effects that are super useful, and now the Big Bang Orchestra Capricorn with ostinatos and riffs in different BPMs, 120, 130, 140 BPM, that I've loaded in the symphonic riffs, all preset, so you have everything recorded in one setup. You can see how it's organized. You choose the tempo, you choose which kind of release you want to get, and here you have 3 riffs that you can combine, and we're going to talk about that right away. From C3 to C5, it's the main riff that you choose right here. It sounds like this. So it is a 4-bar riff, all of those are, and you can decide which one you want to access. In this case, the key switch is not on C, but on D. So I'm using these key switches down here to switch between the main riff 1, main riff 2, main riff 3, and of course, you can combine those different styles. So you get the idea. You always can choose between different releases. On A0, you have the cut release. So when you release the key, let's just switch to another riff here. See, it cuts out right away. If you have a note release, it actually gives you the ending note of the phrase. So you always have an ending, and you can combine those any way you like. So this is the main riff here in the main area of the keyboard. Another important thing, you can see that right now I'm actually, I see the whole mixer that I have in here, and I'm playing the room mix. Don't forget that you have those mixer presets available. Room mix means that we've recorded all the room microphones in one stereo channel, but you can get, of course, more detailed results and, of course, a different way to influence the sound if you go with a stereo Decca tree or with a surround to stereo mixer presets. That means we're loading in more samples here in the background, and you have not only the Decca tree, but you have the high surround microphone mixed in, and of course that gives you much more of a huge sound from Synchron Stage Vienna. I'm always using this little chord controller here. You can emphasize different sections and just say, I want the woodwinds to be louder here. Or I want to emphasize the low strings or high strings. And bring in the horns a little bit more. As always with my examples, I'm overdoing it a little bit, but you get the idea. Whatever you're working with, let's go to main riff 2 and just see what that does. If I bring down the trumpets a little bit and the horns, you can influence the mix, and of course everything here is MIDI, so you can automate whatever you like. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about the mixer presets. Lots of options in there. Okay, back to the samples. You have those main riffs. Lots of different choices there, starting at D. That's something to remember. Let's just listen to the main riff 7 again. In my odd mix, see, that's something where it really comes in handy to say, hey, I want to go back to the classic surround to stereo mixer preset or to the wide surround to stereo. I get a more distant sound. Or you can take advantage of the dynamics, piano and forte, of course. So you have a lot of options there. It's not just loops, it's really a whole experimental environment. And now we're going to go to the low and high riffs that are available from C6 to C7. And you always hear 2 riffs up here, the low and the high riff together. So that's low riff 1 and high riff 1. And the key switches for the low riff are from D5 upwards. So I'm switching between those different riffs. And I can also say, hey, I don't want the low riff to sound, but I want it to be silent. And now when I play in this octave, I only hear the high riff. And up here in the highest region, you can see it here, you see the key switches for the high riffs. So now I can go through those different high riffs. Some of them are just ostinatos, others are actual riffs. And now I can choose which low riff would fit. It's the same number always fits. So it's also the dynamic of a whole orchestra when they're playing at the same time. So we also decided to release a little scoring examples. I'll just show you here. You can download them from the tutorial sections at MyVSL. So every riff, you have one example where you see the woodwinds, brass, and the string sections and what they are doing with those different riffs. And you see at the touch of a finger, you actually have a lot of orchestration knowledge going on for the main riffs, for the high riffs, for the low riffs. And you can see what kind of orchestration tricks we use to get that fat a sound and just explore what's behind the Big Bang Orchestra Capricorn. So the cool part is always in the mix. So let's just mix it up a little bit and just go, let's combine the low riff 6 with the high riff 4 and see what that does. Or just see what I'm doing with just the low riff. So you get a lot of movement in here, and it's more or less like a drum loop for a pop song. You can really get things going, but it's a whole orchestra doing that work for you. And now it's really just about combinations of those different riffs. Or here. So you get the idea, having 8 times 8 times 8 combinations that you can use any way you like. And then additionally play around with the mixer and of course with the dynamics. And we've prepared a preset, the Velocity Crossfade preset for you. And that's kind of sums it up. You have the different articulations, you have the different releases, you have different tempos that you can choose between. And of course, you have the mixer that lets you access each section separately. You can influence the microphone setup here and just say you want the high surround a little louder, the surround maybe a little lower, and the main Decca tree a little louder. Everything influences the sound a little bit, and you can automate all of those faders very conveniently and just play around with the sound this great orchestra makes. Let's load in the Velocity Crossfade version. With the Velocity Crossfade preset, we have switched Velocity Crossfade to CC1, so your modulation wheel can be used to switch between piano and forte. So you can play around with those options. Same for the high riff, of course. And don't be afraid of mixing up different synchron players, different synchron player instances. Use different loops in one instance, other loops in other instances. Separate them a bit. Use the Velocity Crossfade and dynamic movement. Use your own ideas and mix it up with the Big Bang Orchestra Capricorn.